Well, welcome. Super excited to have David Brooks on today. David is the founder of Contractor Rhino, which does digital marketing for contractors and trades. And we're going to dive into his story of entrepreneurship and fatherhood in another episode of Different Dadpreneurs, where we're looking under the hood of how we balance and navigate both these awesome but challenging things in life. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Um, well, let's start with how long you've been in business with the current business with Contractor
Yeah, so
Rhino.
we, so we've been doing Contractor Rhino for over 7 years now.
Awesome. And tell us a little bit more about what that actually looks like, who you're working with. I kind of gave a brief intro, but we'll maybe spell that out a little bit more clearly.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. So we specifically work with contractors in the home service space, also construction companies too as well. We offer digital marketing and accounting solutions, and then we also really help just consult with them and give them free educational advice too along the way. We have our own podcast, which we try to provide value whether you're a customer or you're not. Well, we love giving back, and yeah.
Awesome. And how did you land here? How did you get to this point of working with the trades in digital marketing? What was that? Take us through that journey a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So I originally started out wanting to be in the trades myself. That was, something that I wanted to get into. Wanted to be an electrician. Unfortunately, for the apprenticeship, I missed the deadline for putting in my information by a day. So I went down to the local union, had everything. I was so excited, and they were like, "Hey, you got to wait all the way to next year, like a whole nother year." And I'm like, "Oof, I need to pivot." So I pivoted, and I got into marketing. uh, had a chance to be able to really dive in there and soak up a lot of knowledge from a lot of great people. Just I got the opportunity to work at an agency. I just used to go around to everybody's desk and what are you working on and what are you doing over here, and really learning from them. And it's like, okay, this is great. This gave me a really good foundation of not what I was just specializing in, but what other people specialized in. I started off in search engine optimization, SEO. I pivoted to this journey because at a part of my journey along the way, I just saw that either the right value wasn't being provided for clients, or it was, skimming information, or just not doing the right thing, or just, you know, not providing really good value, and not being really transparent with the client. I'd rather be transparent, and if you take that information and you happen to leave, then I don't want you to leave. I wouldn't want you to leave, but at least I know that I'm giving you the truth, and I'd rather you have the truth than to keep going on for months and months living on a lie.
Yeah. So it sounds like some values clash with how the business was running that you were working in, and being like, this isn't a fit culturally for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Um, so you pivoted into that, got into the marketing on your own, I take it.
Yeah, pivoted to that, got into the marketing on my own. The trades really resonated. Gotta have a lot of family and friends in the trades. So, those were people that were just, reaching out, need some marketing advice, need some help with a website. And then that, really, and I already were doing those things in the agency space, but then, like, it just kind of came together and made sense. It was like, if I help my local plumbing company, that's going to change their business dramatically. And they're really going to appreciate this. It's going to go a long way for them, and they're going to be able to provide value to the community. So all those things just really resonated with me.
Yeah. And at what point did kids come into the picture for you?
Yeah, so kids came into the picture very early on. Me and my wife, well, we had our first kid But then that was, just my thing of like, okay, we had one and okay. And then, later on, it's like, oh, all right, now it's like, multiple kids come into play. And it's, like now it really kind of lit a extra fire of, now I have extra mouths to feed and extra lives that I'm responsible for, and I really want to be able to provide them with the best as possible, and to be able to set them up for success later on.
Yeah. What was the hardest part in those early days? Like the business was kind of young, you had some young kids. What was like a specific event or like season that was really tough for you?
It was during the winter time. I was really just exhausted, just working a lot, doing a lot, and it was at a family outing, and I just basically just had a mental meltdown. Just like, this is a lot of things to be able to juggle, um, and I really need to be able to kind of reevaluate. Like, I have these goals. I probably need to tweak them. I have a family that's growing, and I need to be able to kind of pay more attention to that uh, than more of less the business aspect of things.
Yeah. So you were spending too much time in the business?
Spending too much time,
Yeah.
spending way, way, way too much time,
What
and
kind of time? Like what were the hours
oof,
like? What did that look like at that stage?
I would probably say I was probably getting an average of maybe 2 to 3 hours sleep a day.
Whoa.
Yeah,
For
so
how long did this go for?
over a year.
A year of 3 hours of sleep?
Yeah, a year, 3 hours of sleep on average.
Holy smokes. I would have. And was that, how much of that was you were just working late versus kids were
That was
up?
all work. That,
That
that
was
was
all work.
all. That was all work slash I'm up working, but like my youngest is, like she's up and she wants to play, and just taking care of her. So it was a little bit of, hey, I'm, working from the home office, and but yeah, I'm still, taking care of my kids, and it just blends together. When it's like, hey, I think I'm gonna get a moment that I probably could sleep myself, but it's like, oh, like I have the kids, so like now I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then when it probably is time to actually go to sleep, I'm still working on stuff.
Yeah. And what did the business look like at that point? Like what were you doing? What was the setup of the business?
Yeah, so at that point, it was a lot of consulting. I was doing a bunch of consulting, and it was really going well. And so I was getting a lot of marketing consultant clients coming in, and it took up a lot of time. It took up a whole bunch of time because I was still young. I didn't have all the systems and processes, set up, and I didn't streamline with like the team yet that I have today. I didn't have them back then. So it was a lot of just manually me doing everything, me managing the whole process from start to finish.
Yeah. How did you, what were the keys? Like, this is probably a big question, a bit of a loaded question, but you're now in a very different stage
Yes.
of business and life. I'm taking it. What were some of the, actually, maybe let's start with like, where are you at now? What does the business look like? That's like the before, what's the
Yeah.
after, or like the present right now?
Yeah. Yeah, so the business looks much different now. It is more strategic, it's more thought out. It's more, we have full blown plans of where we want to go, how we're going to get there. We have team members and systems and processes set up right now. And the business is it's not just relying on me. There's a lot of great people that I'm working with on the team that provide a lot of value and a lot of help to be able to make things successful and to just make the big picture come together. I also have those cutoff points where it's it will be some days where it's like, hey, work is a little late, or I do have to take a call, but it's not dominating 24/7, kind of like what it used to be.
Yeah. And if you were to look back and maybe you're sharing with your younger self or somebody else that's going to go through a similar journey, what were the key milestones or insights that you had to cross in order to get from there to here? Like if there was a couple key things that you had to do or overcome that allowed you to get to this stage of business and how it's different.
Yes. Protect your mental health. Know that you can't win every situation. Knowing when to not take on certain business and it's not a good fit for you. So, if you have a client and they want to do business with you, but you're a little wary or you may not think it's a good idea, even though it may look like a opportunity financially, you really want to weigh that and say, hey, is this going to be worth the headache? I think the light bulb moment really clicked. Well, I had a client, it's my youngest pre-K graduation, and they called with this issue, and it's supposed to be a good day, and it was it turned into like this business thing, and it was like, hey, this is supposed to be family time, and this it just wasn't the right fit, and then I was saying, I shouldn't have took on that opportunity. It really inverted it really invaded my personal space, my personal happiness, and I said, hey, look, I need to learn that you can't take everything. You have to turn stuff down and say no and feel good about, like, hey, I said no, like I stuck by my parameters, my values, or just a good working relationship over the monetary value.
Yeah. Yeah. Being able to say no is hard,
Yeah,
especially if
it's hard.
there's money
Yeah,
there. Yeah, it's tough.
yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
What else do you feel like has been critical in allowing you to go from before to now?
Learning, a lot of learning, a lot of reading. I'm really big advocate of reading and listening to audiobooks, to podcasts, to YouTube videos and information that just kind of different things you could do to actually make yourself better as a person and an individual, but to think smarter and to not work as hard. I think that has been really crucial, and to say, okay, let me listen to somebody else's journey. They made these mistakes. They learned these lessons along the way. Let me not try to reinvent the wheel here. Let me listen to this information and really take it and actually implement it.
Yeah. Um, how has being a dad shaped how you run a business?
Uh, Being a dad has shaped. I have more compassion. I have really a lot of compassion for people. So I think being a dad allows you to have more patience and to have more passion. We've had some things that happen that have been, I wouldn't say, I would use the word catastrophic, but not in the sense of like, the apocalypse or something crazy, but like it was really bad things or quality of work or output that I would have been like, hey, this isn't up to our standards. But you don't know what's going on the other end of someone else's life. And if you just were to judge a book by the cover, you would say, okay, well, this person has to go. This is, no, we're done here. And I learned to be able to say, hey, this wasn't like the rest of the work you turned in and presented. Why is this different? Oh, I was going through something. I was a little sick, and I just tried to, go through. I said, I'd rather you just take some time off and get yourself together, rather than to try to work at not your full capacity. But that's where being a father and digging in a little bit more, it helps, and to be able to actually know what other people are going through, because you have to, when you have a family and you have kids, you need to know what's going on. You're going to probe, you're going to ask those questions, and that translates over into business.
Yeah. Um, and I'm curious about, so one of the things every time I ask or I have a podcast interview, I'm always like, I ask guys, what do you want to know from other dadpreneurs? And a really common question is, what does a typical day look like? Um, like morning to evening, how do you split up your time between family and work? What does that look like? And how do you prioritize some of that? So I'd be curious to get a sense of what that looks like for you.
Yeah, so for me, really waking up early, getting a good start, organizing my day, seeing what my priorities are.
How
Um,
early do you start? Like we'll get really granular here. Like what time are you getting up?
yeah,
What does the first couple hours of your day look like?
yep. So I'm usually getting up between 6 and 7 in the morning, and getting the day started. It used to be a lot earlier, and then that's where the change came in. The focus is like, okay, I'm not going to work as long. So before that, it was probably like 4:30, getting the day started. Now it's more or less 6, 7, getting that day started. Uh, Being able to see the kids go off to school, uh, and then just go about my day, and usually trying to end the day around between 5 and 6, uh, for the most part, and then just maybe doing some cleanup odds and ends stuff after hours. But for the most part, just being able to be there in the evenings if the kids need to talk, or they want to tell me about their day, or they're just going into more detail about something. And it's for me, it's hey, you need to listen. Or maybe maybe it's just my wife, like, and she wants to talk, and it's, hey, I'm focusing on the computer, and it's, hey, I need to set this to the side, or I need to close it if I can, or I need to have patience, and to be able to say, okay, you can get to that later, or maybe this can wait till tomorrow, but they need you today.
Yeah. And um, other kind of part to this question is how do you split the responsibilities with your wife of looking after the kids? Because I know that plays a big part in your people's ability to work certain hours and how that's all set up, and it's all like intertwined.
Yes. Yeah, she couldn't do what I do without her taking care of a lot of the other details of it. Homework assignments, and parent teacher conferences and meetings, doctor's appointments, just really keeping on top of all those things if the kids get sick, and getting the right medicine, and making sure they get the doctor's appointment scheduled to be able to go. So, getting the clothes, they need the clothes. Hey, like these sneakers are too small now. These pants don't fit, and it's like that's a really huge part. It's like I can go out and I could go and drive and pay for it, or go get it for them. But just knowing, right? Like she helps with knowing. Like I wouldn't know that. Like like, or they would say, "Oh, Dad, I told you." It's like, no, you didn't really tell me. But she's really good at that. And just planning dinner. Um, is something that's like huge. With the kids, it's like, hey, Dad, what's to eat? And it's just like, well, if your mom doesn't have the solution, then you know what my solution is takeout.
Yeah, yeah. And does your wife work?
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's
Yeah.
working,
So
but she plays a big role in making sure
yeah,
that.
she's working, but she plays a super huge role in just keeping everything moving, and letting me know that, hey, this is coming up, and I'm blocking time off my calendar to make it up to the school or make it up to an event.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Um, what's been the biggest villain to achieving what you want?
What's been the biggest villain to achieving what I want? That's a really good question. Um, I would say not believing in fool's gold is was the biggest villain in stopping me for achieving what I want. I could have been at the place I wanted to be at 4 years ago. I had the same ideas that I have now and the same game plan I had 4 or 5 years ago. But because things were riding on a high and I probably took some clients that I didn't really need to take, uh, kept me too busy. And that by being too busy, I was too busy to execute on the goal. And so I lost out short term. I mean, yeah, I lost out long term for where I could have been for just like that short term grab of like, yeah, like this, I'll grab this and I'm good now, but really knowing like not really good probably a year from now. Like I'm not going to be in the same spot. I even told myself that I wouldn't be in the same spot and I was dead on correct. And that was the biggest villain of taking on too much to be able to stop me from executing the goals now.
Gotcha. So by having some quick wins, getting more clients in the shorter term kept you from some of those more strategic moves to maybe like build out the team and like build the systems that would allow for the business that you have today.
Yeah, yeah, correct. It put me in a place to where as though I didn't want to do those extra things that I needed to do. Not because I didn't want to do them, because I was by the time I was finished everything else, I was like, everything's okay. Like I get to it when I get to it, or I'll spend some time with the family, and or I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna do this, and if I only dedicate an hour or two before everybody wakes up, it doesn't disrupt the time I need to be spending with them. But when I would wake up, I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. So what was the shift for you that occurred that allowed you to make that change? Like,
Yeah, so the shift to me that occurred to me for me to be able to make that change was uh I had a specific uh, goal in mind that I wanted to start 1 January. And I said, "Hey, I want to execute the game plan that I had planned out 5 years ago in January, and I actually want to see it through each and every week. Um, and I'm going to hold myself to that." And I figured that I planned it in November, I planned it in December, and then I was going to execute everything in January. And I felt like because the holidays, were, around the corner, it was going to be slower and, people go on vacation. So things are a little bit more quieter around that time. And I felt like that was the perfect time I needed to make sure I cleared my mind and that when January 1st came around, boom, I executed and just didn't look back from that point.
so it sounds like there wasn't really much of a change in the business. Like you were still busy reacting to a lot, or was there other circumstances in the business that changed?
Yeah, yes. There was a really big client that I was reliant on, and I wasn't expecting it. It was a really big consultancy situation for us, and client came off vacation and they wanted to talk, and I was like, oh great. I'm thinking like, hey, we're just catching up from them being away, and it was like, hey, like because of the economic situation that they were in, like you know they had to go, and it was like, whoa, okay, definitely wasn't expecting that. That opened up a lot more time, but then that kind of made me like, I need to be able to diversify a lot more, and to kind of spread things, out more strategically.
Gotcha. So client left, it opened a little bit of bandwidth to implement the 5-year plan that had been kicked
Yep.
down the road a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha. Um, what do you see as your biggest challenges right now that you're trying to overcome?
Yeah, I would say my biggest challenge is right now chasing people. Chasing people is my biggest challenge. I think right now, just with a lot of I'm a firm believer in always coming up with a great idea, and I try to come up with at least a few a month. And it's I always say to building, a good business, you could do it yourself, but if you have a lot of strategic partners and great people with the same type of vision, to be able to want to provide value and want to grow, that's going to be really helpful. Problem is everybody else is just as busy, right? They're busy in their businesses, they're busy with family, they have personal things going on. So a lot of it's like, hey, we have these great ideas and these great initiatives, but it's hard getting people just on a call or in the same room or just working out with timing because they're traveling, and it's like, hey, I wanted to get to this, but I'm constantly traveling, and those are some of the roadblocks now.
Yeah. Just getting the right people in the room to like move
Yep,
something forward. That I'm assuming these people aren't in your business. They're
you're
more
correct.
more like strategic partners and things like that.
Strategic partners. Yep.
Yeah. Gotcha. Um, might be a little bit of a deeper question, but what are some of the negative thoughts or fears that you have about being a dad and business owner?
Uh, from a dad standpoint, uh, just to be able to have them understand how difficult it's going to be when they're on their own. When they come out of school and they're in the work environment, and you know, dad's not there to protect them or to pick them up, and they're going to have to go through these struggles on their own throughout the day. And mom's not going to be there, dad's not going to be there. I mean, we're a phone call away, but you know, as they get older, they're going to have to experience the situations that we've experienced. And my fear is that I want to be able to help equip them the best way as possible to be able to deal with life and to deal with realities and to be resilient, because it's going to knock you down. You're going to get roadblocks. You're going to feel like quitting, but I don't want you to be a quitter. You know, I want you to be able to understand that we have your best interests at heart, and I want to be able to be hard on you, not in the sense of, I'm not trying to ruin your life, but I'm trying to let you know that we have the best intentions because we love you, but people don't love you. Like, people will say that they're your friend and they will show you otherwise, or you can't trust everybody. And, someone tells you to go do something. You don't do it right away. Like, you could lose your job, you can get written up, you can get fired, you can ruin your relationship with that person. So, I need you to understand the sense of urgency. So that's always like my big thing is, am I giving them all the right tools that they need? And then as far as business is concerned, is just having patience. Because the vision is there, the goals are there, and I'm a person that really is excited about things, and I'm a huge planner. But I'm also not the best person as far as you need to have patience. Because like I see the end and I'm like, I just want to skip to the I just want to skip to the
Yeah.
end. And it's like you can't accomplish all that. You can't every Rome wasn't built in a day. So you're gonna have to be able to spread it out, and it's gonna come incrementally, which is fine, but I just get so excited because I see the end picture. It's like a movie. You're writing the script and you're like, man, I just want to get to the part where we start filming it in.
Well, I like it's so funny you use that analogy of writing.
Mm,
I often when I'm reading a book, if it's a good like mystery novel, which I don't read because I end up like that's all I do is read the book.
yeah.
End up reading so fast. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm reading the whole thing because I kind of want to know what happens. Am I
Yeah.
actually reading the words and enjoying it for what it is? Probably not. Um, but it's definitely like, I mean, I've done a lot of interviews with guys, and it's such a common thing is the natural tendency of entrepreneurs is not to be patient. That's why you're an entrepreneur. So it's a different skill set to reframe, I think, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not about. I think for me, it's been instead of making it about how do I get from point A to point B as fast as possible, it's reframing the experience of what is that journey of point A to point B. And I've actually referenced this in a couple interviews with other guys, but there's a concept of the gap and the gain. It's a book by Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. Are you familiar with it?
No, haven't read it.
No. But the idea is picture yourself on a marathon and you're halfway through the marathon. Some people, when they're halfway, will look at the fact that they still have halfway to go and they're like, oh my God, like that was only halfway. Like, holy crap, I am going to die. Like, this is terrible. I wish I was there already. And then there's other people that they get to halfway and they look backwards and they say, wow, look at how far I've come. Look at all the evidence of what's possible. And that simple act of measuring forward versus measuring from where you've come changes the nature of how you perceive where you're at and like the mindset that comes with it. And that's something that has helped me just to be a little bit more like enjoying the process, enjoying the next step, celebrating how far I've come, knowing that I have this ideal future that I want to get to, but not being so impatient with getting there, because it's as soon as you get to the destination, there's going to be another one that you want to get to. Like the finish line just keeps moving. So knowing that that's the case, how do I like change my relationship with like the whole perspective of the journey? So I don't know. I think I don't think you ever fully figure it out, but you get a little bit better every time.
You get better at it.
Yeah,
yep, you do.
So what does that 5-year vision look like? What does the big picture future hold for David Brooks? What do you want the business and life to look like?
Yeah. So really, the big 5-year picture is to, of course, just grow the agency more, but we're also expanding on our vertical and our offering and providing some more strategic solutions to be able to help on the technical side of HVAC training, and to be able to really help those businesses that are just starting off, and if you're transitioning in from the field into the office and you need to understand what those things look like, how to balance the sheet, the budgets, and knowing money coming in, coming out, knowing why you need to invest in marketing and what good marketing looks like to be able to set you up for success. And so the business will be able to grow in that side of it too as well. So the ultimate goal is to really dominate the home service industry as being, the best solution provider out there for marketing and accounting services, but also on a technical side too as well, where you can come to us for technical training for your team. You can get that help, getting your business up off the ground. If you want to sell your business, we have partners for that to be able to help you, sell and exit. Or if you just, you want to get that investment to be able to grow your business, we have that too as well. So just really being able to provide the most value as possible in the home services and construction space is the ultimate goal and in the vision, and to be able to have that grow, but then also take a step back and just do more podcasts, more speaking engagements, more opportunity for education. That's where a lot of the passion and my, love lies. If I can go out and speak to a team and to be able to kind of help them, that makes my day, that makes my month. So if I can do a lot more of that, that would be excellent. So that's the 5-year goal.
Nice. What do you love about the podcasting and that side of it?
Oh man, met so many wonderful people and so many great stories along the way. it definitely has opened up a lot of doors of being able to, hear people's stories, learn about people more, being able to learn about just different technologies and solutions that'll be helpful for, our contractors, and also just being able to have people talk to me, right? I think that that's wonderful that people can take the time out of their day and their schedule to be able to tell their journey, their story, um, about what's going on. It is amazing. I always enjoy talking with people and having a good conversation. So those are the joys of being able to have the podcast and have guests on and be able to collaborate with past guests again. And it's like, hey, like we're gonna like we could talk about this, and it's like, yeah, I gotta, we had one podcast guest, and he had started off on one side of the business and then pivoted to another side of the of business, and he's like, man, I have so much more to share. Like it would literally take another few hours, and I'm like, yeah, we have to have you back. Like that's great. I
Yeah.
would love to hear it.
Yeah. On that note, you're a podcast host. What would be a juicy question for me to ask you? What would like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh man. Let's see, a juicy question. Hmm. Man, that's a really, really good one. Uh, I would probably say the best party I've ever thrown.
What's the best party you've ever thrown?
Yeah, we threw a party years ago, in New York. It was a black tie affair in Manhattan. It was max capacity. We got Rihanna to come to the party. It was early on in Rihanna's career, but it was like people were trying to get in from outside. It was just a madhouse like outside, and everybody had a good time. It was one of those epic nights you had to be there to see it.
Yeah.
And then like after the party was over, we all went out to a diner. We're just sitting there all dressed. Everybody's still dressed up, and we're just sitting there. It's like 6 a.m. and it's like, man, that was a good night. Like
Yeah.
nobody went to work the next day. It was just like one of those epic times, and like it was a really great event. And people wouldn't even have known that.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm glad I asked that question because I never know. Like that's the fun about coaching and podcasting and stuff like that is there's only so much I know about you. It's like, you best. What are some of those cool things that I don't know about that we could pull out and ask? I have a couple more questions and then we'll wrap this up.
Yep.
You've been in business for a while.
Mhm.
What wisdom would you impart on the younger version of you? If there was like one core lesson or insight that you'd want to share with yourself 5-7 years ago, or with another founder that's in that early stage?
Take more time in the early part to reinvest back into the business. Um, that's what I would tell my younger self. We had a podcast guest, and he was saying to to the audience is like, hey, like you start your business, you get some success. Don't be the guy that goes out there and goes to Vegas and buys the big truck and does that, and you didn't put the money back into the business, or you didn't plan for when things get slow. So I would definitely tell my younger self that those purchases and different things can hold off if you just would stay down low to the ground for another year or two and put it back. It would have paid off
Yeah,
exponentially.
for sure. And yeah, I saw it when I was running my painting business. There was some other people around me running businesses for the first time,
Hmm.
and like, yeah, there's a couple of people that spent some money more than they maybe should have, and it's like, okay, you
Yep.
learn your lesson.
Yep.
Um, and if you were to listen to this podcast 6 months from now, what's one thing you'd want to remind yourself of that if you were to listen to it, it'd be helpful for you?
Yeah. Take one day at a time. Take one day at a time. It's so easy to think about tomorrow and the weeks after tomorrow and the months ahead, and just focus on the day. Tomorrow will come. Keep your health together. Remember to take care of your body, to take care of your mental health, know when to take those breaks, and just be patient, and it will come.
Yeah. Trust the process in a
Yeah,
way.
trust the process.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's been great having you on. If somebody's listening and wants to find out more about what you're up to, where can they find you?
Yeah, sure. You can find me at contractorrhino.com, David Brooks on LinkedIn. Also, you can reach out to me via email at david@contractorrhino.com.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.